So it has been quite a while since I have been talking to my computer screen. It's been well over a month, and do I have a good reason for it? Kind of. Do I really? Not really. But here's the point: we have a brand new season ahead of us. GPC, yeah, I lost in the semis to Shadi because of bad sets that I messed up on. That's fine, but this is not about the GPC. This is about the IACL. Now, let me mention IACL Season 3. I did record like the first 2 weeks, and then after that, it kind of fell over like a weak tower, I guess you could say. It kind of tumbled over. We just skipped the playoffs, similar to way early on in season like 0, I guess. And long story short, I won. I only lost one game the entire season, and that was to Lou. Coincidentally, he was my semifinalist opponent, and I beat him in the semifinals, and then I ended up winning the finals against Flamedog 3, the owner of the IACL. I would record it, but at the same time, I just feel like it's not worth it because if you cut down a season to literally half its the original plan, it just doesn't seem like a successful season. Don't get me wrong, I was proud to win season 3, especially after my flop of season 2. I definitely felt proud, but I really don't want to record it. I just don't feel like it's worth my time because this is optional. If it wasn't optional, I would definitely record it, but I just feel like it's not worth it. But anyways, we have a brand new season, IACL Season 4, the very first season to include Gen 7 Pokemon. And spoilers, my team does have quite a bit of Gen 7 Pokemon, if I say so myself. It's quite exciting. I'm really excited to see what is in store for us as we enter into this new adventure of Pokemon and dreams, I guess you could say. So anyways, this is going to be my draft analysis video. My week 1 match versus Lou, who, spoilers, is in my division. I will go over eventually. They might be back to back, but it's like 10 p.m. right now, and my computer is running out of space, so it's gonna have to be separate, and that takes up a lot of time. So, anyways, moving on towards the draft analysis, I decided that maybe, just maybe, the Gen 7 monsters that we're allowing, such as Tapu Lele, Tapu Bulu, and of course Tapu Koko, would sometimes block the potential Pokemon that are seen as easily top 5 picks. And that is exactly what happened to me because I was picked number 10 out of a 12-man draft, so basically 9 people were in front of me. The first 9 Pokemon consisted of Porygon Z, which I found pretty interesting. I felt like that would have lasted till round 2, if anything. And then Magearna, Tapu Lele, Lander's Eye, Tapu Fini, Tapu Koko, Manaphy, Xurkitree, and Celesteela were all drafted before it all went up to me. So I felt like I was able to finally get this Pokemon, something I didn't think would ever go to round 10, especially the way it's been being used for the past about half a year in the league format. It's been really, really successful. And that Pokemon is, let me see if it will let me type this out real quick. Jirachi is definitely my first pick. Now, Jirachi is a pretty interesting little Pokemon, base 100 stats across the board, definitely the best Pixie Pokemon in the entire game, in my opinion, just because of its raw coverage and good base defenses, and of course the good defensive typing, of course. Of course, being weak to dark, being weak to fire, being weak to ground, and lastly being weak to, I believe, ghost. It fits quite a bit of weaknesses, but at the same time, it resists a good amount of stabs, and it's also just very, very diverse. It gets access to Stealth Rock, U-Turn, Psychic Stab, gets T-Bolt, gets a whole bunch of other moves. I can list all the moves if you wanted me to, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about my team and why I drafted it the way it is. Now, Jirachi. It's a very interesting Pokemon. I've definitely had it before, but I was never actually really experienced in counter team format when I did have it. So I was like, you know what? If the season is going to be as successful as I do see it being, I want to try to see how I can use Jirachi long term. So I decided to pick up Jirachi. Throughout the past seasons, Lou used it, and he used it to near perfection. He definitely used it I had to close my door, very well. And yeah, I'm excited to see if I can use it well. If I don't, then I don't. Coincidentally, Lou is my week 1 opponent, and he used this Jirachi. Anyways, that's Jirachi in a nutshell. Like I said, if my job was to explain what Jirachi did, this would be a completely different video with a completely different title. So, anyways, I'm looking at my team and I'm like, okay, Jirachi. What's good about Jirachi is I could hook up with almost any team, whether it be stall, hyper offense, or just balanced, or even Volt Turn. It just works. Jirachi is very, very good. So it's like, okay, I have the world is my oyster at this point, especially since I'm pretty damn near a wheel pick because only a total of 4 Pokemon get picked from my first and second pick. So I was like, okay, there's quite a bit of Gen 7 Pokemon available, and there's plenty of good Gen 6 Pokemon still available. So I was like, you know what? I want a bulky water. That was guaranteed, and I was thinking maybe, just maybe, I can start a little regen core. So of course I'm going to draft the infamous Toxapex. Toxapex being known for being one of the stupidest walls of Gen 7. Next to it gets Pyukumuku, but this gets something Pyukumuku doesn't get, and that's Haze. And that stops sweeps from happening, that makes Toxapex really good. Of course, I could have gone with like Tapu Bulu later on, but spoilers, I didn't get Tapu Bulu. It would have actually been a pretty good Pokemon to pair up with Toxapex, but you'll see I got something else. Anyways, Toxapex, of course, getting pretty good access to moves such as, the Almighty Scald. Even though it did get nerfed this generation, it can still burn, and it can still make physical attackers useless. And that's always great. And if you just want, Poison Jab, because it hits hard and Sludge Bomb, or if you want, let me see. I mean, there's not a lot of good offensive moves you'd run in this. You'd run Liquidation, you run Scald, you run Poison Jab, Sludge Bomb. That's pretty much it. Of course, it gets access to Haze, it gets access to Recover, gets access to Toxic Spikes, which is definitely pretty interesting. Plenty of a wide variety of options. And of course, I have quite a ground weakness so far. But as you can see, I'm able to patch up my fire weakness with Jirachi, and that's pretty much it. I don't think I really patched up much else. So I'm like, okay, there's another Pokemon. I have to wait quite a long time before it ever comes back around to me. So of course, a good amount of Pokemon are going to get sniped. But this Pokemon was still available by the time the third round came around to me, and that is fantastic because this Pokemon is known for being very good with under bulky waters, and plus it also has Regenerator. Of course, that Pokemon is being known as Tangrowth. Tangrowth, the giant noodle monster Pokemon. It's good for multiple different reasons. Of course, you look at its stats. The only bad stats, of course, are its Spadef stat, but you just slap an Assault Vest in there, run max HP, and you're pretty much good to go. Not to mention, this thing has really good moves in terms of move pool because it gets, access to Rock Slide, Leaf Storm, Giga Drain, Earthquake, Knockoff, etc., etc. It gets access to Sleep Powder, Leaf Seed, Poison Powder. It gets access to Stun Spore. It gets access to quite a bit of powder moves, and I find that pretty interesting. And this Pokemon has very good physical defense. Like, it takes super effective hits well enough, and it can dish out quite a large hit because of its stab and its base 110 special attack and base 100 attack. Also, it gets access to Sword sets if you really want to run that. Maybe in the sun, you never really know. But of course, a Regenerator is probably what I'm going to run more than anything else I would imagine. Anyways, as you can see, I definitely finally settled my ground weakness, but it doesn't settle any short because Pokemon such as Nidoking or even Lander's Eye kind of wrecked this team for the most part so far. Then, of course, I'm going to try to patch it up later on, but as you can see, I kind of really don't fix it, but I get enough offensive pressure to, I guess, stop Lander's Eye. But you'll see what I mean. Anyways, Tangrowth, yeah, it's a bulky grass. It can work with Toxapex. Switches into the ground type moves. Can take other hits, depends on my spread, and depends on what's in front of me. We'll see what happens. I see it as a pretty decent core, looking at it. So anyways, like I said, since we're back to the wheel pick, I'm going to be able to get 2 pretty good Pokemon right now. So I'm looking at my team, and I was like, I need some hazard removal, and I need some electric type action. Now what better is bulky Defogger with Roost and Thunderbolt and Volt Switch and U-turn and such than Zapdos, Zapdos, the almighty electric bird. And yeah, look at his stats. Literally none of his stats are terrible. His worst stats base 85, and when you think about it, that's just fantastic. Literally, when you could say your worst stat is base 85 defense, that is definitely something. Like, I can't even imagine that. And it's on my team. It's fantastic. This Pokemon gets Volt Switch, it gets U-turn, so you don't get walled by ground types such as Marowak switching in, and gets Heat Wave for grass types. It gets Hidden Power Ice. That's your best other coverage for ground types, I guess. But of course, this thing gets access to Roost. It gets access to Defog. It gets access to Toxic. It can run sub pressure stall. You never know. And It also gets access to a strong, mighty Thunderbolt, base 125 attack, and even base 90. You get access to Mix Zapdos with Drill Peck or U-Turn and such. It's not a bad Pokemon for almost any spread. You can run Spin Depth, physically defensive, especially offensive, physically offensive. There's so many options with Zapdos. And not to mention that it works really, really well with Toxapex Tango from Jirachi. Because now I have a ground immunity, and rocks, for the most part, I can switch into rock types because I don't really see any rock types that actually pressure Jirachi. Well, Tango for the most part, I mean. And I mean, it's fantastic. There's not so far. I don't see much wrong with this. So far, I can see like an ice type of freeze dry kind of hurting my team, or even just a strong ice type in general. But if it doesn't have freeze dry, I'm good to go. But anyways, yeah, pretty good looking team. The only problem is that my only way of hazards is Defog, but of course I'm going to try to fix that later on in the draft. So anyways, I'm looking at my team and I'm saying I need to get some sort of fast offensive pressure. That's kind of what I just need at this point. So I was kind of hoping this Pokemon wouldn't get picked because it was already round 5, and at this point, there's quite a bit of picks that have already happened. In fact, if my math is correct, it was round 5. Okay, let me do this really quick. Round 5, I'm number 10. 12 people have gone. Number 10, so 12 times 48 plus 57. So 57 Pokemon have gotten picked if my math is correct. And anyways, I feel like I need to get something good. There's a fire type available, and it's fast. It gets a strong secondary stab, and that Pokemon is known as Salazzle, the almighty Salazzle, the all-female harem male horse Salazzle. It's great. He has access to Corrosion, first ever Pokemon to ever get Corrosion. But I was ashamed to find out that Poison type moves such as Sludge Wave don't hit Poison types, I mean Steel types, excuse me. That would have been quite fantastic, and it would make Corrosion quite a bit better. But it's still useless, in my opinion, on this Pokemon. Unless you want a Toxic Heat Trance, that's like the one exception. Anyways, Salazzle, has base 111 special attack, which is very, very good, and base 117 speed, putting you way above the base 110 speed tier, and even above base 115. And of course, you are just a little bit under base 120, but there's quite a bit of Pokemon that are below base 120, which makes you pretty fast and a pretty good offensive sweeper. With access to Nasty Plot, of course, you've got Fire Blast, you've got Flimper, you've got Sludge Wave, you've got Sludge Bomb, and you even have quite a bit of access to physical moves, but physical attack is so abysmal that you really can't run too much. Of course, you have the hidden powers to kind of help you out. You can run Sub Disable if you really want to, but of course, it's the rest of its stats are really, really bad. Base 60 HP with base 60 defenses on both sides. It's just not that good. Like, a Sucker Punch from literally a Dark type will probably come close to OHKO in you, such as Bisharp, just because it's so weak. Even with the nerf on Sucker Punch, but that's not the point. Salazzle serves as a super fast offensive win con that my team otherwise lacked, because my best win con otherwise was like Scarf Jirachi or Calm Mind Jirachi or offensive Zapdos, and that's not really good. And at this point, I need something else that could potentially work on my team for trapping Pokemon. And I'm like, okay, I can potentially trap the fire types that can kind of ruin my team. And, I was thinking this Pokemon's available. I've never used it before. And Brian used it back in Season 2. And it was pretty fantastic. Not to mention its buff really made it such a Pokemon that it put it back in the map for OU. Back in Gen 3, of course, it was like the OU god, and even back in late Gen 6, it was making a run back in the OU tiers, and of course with this buff, it's probably going to be in the OU tier for the rest of Gen 7. That Pokemon is known as Dog Trio. Being the good trapper it is fun, not Sandvale, a Radiant Trap, of course, and you got access to the Young Sash, you got Stealth Rock, Earthquake. We know what this thing does at this point. It traps, hits the base 120 speed tier, one of the fastest Pokemon on my team, and in fact, when everything is said and done, it is the fastest Pokemon on my team. And, as it's good for being the offensive utility trapper that it's meant to be, especially with the boost in attack, and I don't know why it's 0 IV. But of course, when you put 252 in a neutral attack, you get 299 with Adamant to 28. We all know this at this point. But that's such a strong Earthquake coming off now. Coming from a Pokemon that you sometimes might not be able to switch out from. Unless you're a Ghost type, unless you have Levitate, and unless you have Shed Shell, you are going to die to this thing. Unless you're just really bulky or a Grass type, We all know the exceptions to this thing, but my Pokemon, such as Salazzle, Zapdos, Tangrowth, which Sludge Bomb can handle Grass types really well. So far, my team is really forming a really good core. I have a trapper, I have a win con, I have a pretty good wall core. Like I said, I don't see myself being too weak to stuff. I guess Edgequake would be like the only exception, but even then you have to be fast, and Dugtrio could potentially trap you. So, anyways, we're moving on to the last four Pokemon, and if my points serve correctly, I'll be able to get all four. So moving on to point number 7, I'm looking at my team and I'm like, I need something decent. I noticed that I can potentially use a Wish Passer. I can use a Spinner. So I was like, you know what? Let's draft another Gen 7 Pokemon. I was actually kind of iffy on this. I wasn't sure if it was going to be worth it, but I was like, let's use Komala. You never know. Look at its stats. It's not that bad. You have pretty average HP, but you have really good special defense, but your defense stats so bad that you don't make much of a physical wall, and that definitely kind of sucks. And my dog is hitting the door. Oh, yeah. Okay. I might have to pause real quick. I'll be right back. Anyways, yeah, going back to Komala. It gets access to U-turn, has a really strong attack, but of course, base 65 speed. Just makes it really lackluster, and it could potentially be a setup bait. So, I mean, if there's a pick I really regret, it's this Pokemon right here. So, if anything, I can pick a free agents switch, but you never know. Back in season 2, I thought about the same thing for Bronzong, and Bronzong proved to be honestly one of my MVPs of the entire season. So you never know. Maybe Komala will surprise me. And yeah. Anyways, yeah, I went over basically everything. It can spin, it can wish, it can fire off a strong return. It gets Earthquake. It gets I don't think it gets no. It doesn't get knocked off yet. I could be mistaken though. Yeah, it doesn't get knocked off. But it also gets Comp Mine, but that's a bad set. I will never run that. Anyways, moving on to pick number 8. I'm looking at my team. I realize I don't have a Dragon or a Fairy yet at this point, and I'm realizing that there's not much left. There's Pokemon such as Haxorus, there's Pokemon such as Flygon. Kyurem was already taken at this point. I think Jardigan was still available, but I didn't really want Jardigan because I wanted some speed. So I was like, okay. Looking at my team, I can use another Wincon because, like I said, I still lack him. So I was like, you know what? There's a Pokemon, a Dragon, that's known for having a very high attack stat. Getting DD, getting Swords Dance, getting Double Dance if you really want to, or just running the band in general. So I decided to pick Haxorus. Haxorus, the big old guillotine dinosaur dragon. Yeah. Base 147 attack, of course, is just humongous. With no investment, you hit 330, and of course, if you run max attack with neutral nature, you hit 393. With adamant, you hit well over 400. In fact, you hit 432. That's huge. That's insane. That's just absolutely insane. And of course, if you get a dragon dance up, that goes up to around 600, and I believe like 648, excuse me, yeah, 648 attack. And even if you run a band of adamant, yeah, 648 attack. Or actually, no, I don't know how it works, but yeah, I think that's how it works. Yeah, 648 attack. 97 speed isn't terrible, but if it was above 100 base speed, that would be great, but it's not, sadly. But I do get access to Mold Breaker now, which is honestly really, really good. Mold Breaker, of course, being able to actually break through a Mimikyu's sub. Being able to break through a Mimikyu's disguise. And I didn't know that until King told me. So, I mean, never know. Maybe that can come into play later on. Of course, its stats aren't the best defensively, but it has enough stats where it can take one hit, set up a DD, and potentially just win at that point. And of course, getting access to DDs, shout out to Lou, you could run Focus Sash DD reversal, and you could just win at that point. And that would be something, wouldn't it? Because it's happened before in the UU tier. And of course, this Pokemon I don't think it gets Fire Fang. Yeah, its best fire move is in Power Fire, which it does kind of suck, but with the combination of Z moves, which I haven't really gone over for the most part. Yeah, you can run Z move, Dragon move, and you can hit reasonably hard, and it allows you to not have to lock yourself into outrage, because most of the time you just need one strong Dragon move, and most of the time it forces you to click outrage, and it stops a sweep. But with Z moves being around, that could potentially turn the metagame around forever. And by the metagame, I mean counter team, because I might just only need one strong Dragon move, I kill it, and then I win. You never know. You really never know. Anyways, I decided to draft a fairy type. I don't have a fairy type yet, but I needed a fairy type. And I was like, okay, what's available? And I saw this Pokemon was available, so I was like, you know what? They call me the Gen 7 King. I've already had enough Gen 7 Pokemon. I was like, why not draft another one? So I decided to draft a Alolan Ninetales. Of course, being the dark horse of the new fairy types introduced in this generation. And of course, its offensive stats, not really getting much better. It's only base 81 special attack. Even with max, it only hits 261. Even with mods, I don't think it hits 300. It hits 287. It's still kind of bad, but this Pokemon gets Snow Warning. And no, I didn't pick Sand Slash at the end of the draft, spoilers, I didn't get anything to abuse hail. And I could have, but I really didn't see it being worth it in the end. So I just felt like Ninetales was pretty good because, for one, it gets this move called Aurora Veil, and with the combination of Haxorus to potentially set up into hail, that could be potentially great. And this Pokemon just gets 100% accuracy Blizzards. You can also have HP Fire. You can also run Nasty Plot. You can run Disable. You can run Hypnosis. This Pokemon gets the stuff that Ninetales would normally get, except you don't get any Fire Step, of course. But I believe it still gets the Psychic coverage. Yeah, it gets Psyshock, which is still not bad. It can hit fighting types if you really want to, if you want to risk it. Even though you are 4 times weak to Bullet Punch, you never know. If that fighting type doesn't get Bullet Punch, you could potentially blow him away with a Psychic, or Psyshock, excuse me. Anyways, that is alone. Ninetales, there's not much more to go over. It's pretty self-explanatory. It does get Freeze Dry. I forgot to mention that. It does get Freeze Dry, so I can hit Water Test with this thing, and that is fantastic. Anyways, I have 2 points left, so I'm like, okay, looking at my team, what can I pick at this point? And I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to use this Pokemon. I saw it using the GBC quite a bit last season. It was even brought against me when I went up against Gareth. Yeah, it was Gareth. He brought his monster, and it actually killed my Mega Scizor. If you remember that match, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. That Pokemon is known as Rampardos. Excuse me. The almighty monster with base 165 attack, base 97 HP. They look at the rest of the stats, and it's pretty abysmal. But you have to balance Pokemon somehow. But yeah, this Pokemon, even though its special attack isn't that good, it gets quite a good amount of special coverage, such as, Blizzard. With Ninetales, you never know. They could run Fire Blast, they could run Ice Beam, just Ice Beam if you want. They could run Sheer Force Boosted Ancient Power. You can run, there's other good, it gets Pain Split too, which I didn't know until I actually checked, which is pretty interesting. It gets Whirlwind, it gets Toxic, it gets so many good moves. It's kind of like Rhyperior when you think about it. Anyways, yeah, you never know. It could be a good lead stealth rocket with Head Smash. It can be just, a potential rock polish sweeper. It could be a wall breaker. It could be a late game sweeper with a Scarf. It can do quite a bit of things. And of course, my second Pokemon with Mold Breaker, both Haxorus and Rampardos. I decided to call it the Dinosaur Core this season because I can see myself bringing both these Pokemon to a match and just trying to force so much offensive pressure on my opponent. It'd be crazy. But yeah, the Mold Breaker Dinosaur Core right here. And both humongous attack stats, and I actually have a little bit of surprise with the Dinosaur Core, as you'll see later on. But yeah, that's Rampardos, my last pick. And if I had to look over my team overall, like I said, Edgequake kind of does hurt me quite a bit. And I probably could have dealt with that a little more by drafting a more bulky ground type, or just probably drafting the Pokemon that's better than Komala. Honestly, Komala's not that good, but you never know. Maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to get it done with Komala. And, that's pretty much it. There's not much more to go over. And yeah, overall, if I had to rate my team, I find it pretty good. I think I can get pretty comfortable with this. I have quite a good option of Volturn. I have good bulk. I have good offensive Pokemon. And I have ways of being able to set up, such as Memento Dogtrio and Aurora Veil Ninetales. You never know. You just never know. Yeah, my first opponent is Lou. Kind of have a off record of him. We got 6-0 in the Ubers League by him. And we lost our only game to him last season. Of course, we did beat him in the semifinals when it mattered, but still, losing to an opponent so many times is definitely not good, especially when you lose to a guy that has Luz in his name. Literally, his name is Lou, and I lost to him. That makes me a loser, and that sucks. That really sucks. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And just before I leave, I'm going to go over his team, and then I'll be able to show the little surprise with the Dinosaur Core. Yeah, his team consists of Magirna. He was the one that drafted it, of course. Galadias, the Mega Aerodactyl. Drafted it again, once again, and that's pretty bad. He drafted Tentacruel. Drafted the Mamoswine, which, yeah, looking at my team, I kind of lose to, but then again, what kind of team does lose to Mamoswine? Of course, there's also Heliolisk, the Shaman, the Blaziken, the Spiritomb, and the 1-point Yanma, which he won't bring. I have a Zapdos. Anyways, I have a pretty good surprise to show you, so yeah, I'll pause the vid, I'll be right back. And bada bing, bada boom, as you can see, made by myself and a little bit of design incorporation from a logo I had before, I was able to make this little fun little IACL Season 4 logo. Of course, it's rocking the state of Texas with the Texas Turtwig in the middle of our dinosaurs, our Pardos and Haxorus. Don't mess with Texas and the Texas Turtwigs. my opinion, the colors in the font just look fantastic. Like, they look so good. I was pretty proud of myself considering this was used with a free program, and I'm awful with editing. That's just the way I am. So yeah, anyways, we have hit 25 minutes, and I feel like I shouldn't be taking too much more of your time. And, you know, if you guys are watching this and you enjoy my content, I really do appreciate it. It makes me feel good that people actually care about me. Yeah, it does make me feel good. Trust me when I say that. But yeah, I'll see you guys eventually with probably my week 1 match. Probably won't be doing separate videos for team builders. I just feel like it's a waste of time. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll be seeing you guys in my next video. We'll see what happens. So yeah, au revoir and peace.